meantime, every single day, I spend at least an hour or two on building who I am, the speaker, the person that's going to be making a difference in millions of people's lives through my speaking, through my teaching. I do this every day. And if you do at least 10-20% of the day, you also focus on what you were meant to do, your entire life is going to be a lot happier.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it's helping people in so many extraordinary ways. Well, we have a global trendsetter, world setter who is joining us here back and forth from Hungary, and we're so excited that we're able to touch base and get connected with Dr. Clara. She has an amazing story helping people with, the three big ones, right? Health, wealth, and relationships. So Dr. Clara, welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast. How are you doing this fine day?
Oh, thank you so much, Justin, for the invite. And I'm doing amazing every time I get to speak about what I love, which is connected to all these three elements. I am excited and ready to roll. So fire away with any questions you have. I'm ready for it.
Well, first off, let's just start. I know you have a winning mind blueprint, but what's your journey? What led you to this winning mind blueprint? We'd love to hear it.
Okay, so the most important thing that led me to this is actually a health-related problem, and that manifested eventually into my and put its foot into my sports and my athletics. And your audience needs to know a little bit about me. I am more identified as an athlete than as a woman in my entire life. I am still a competing athlete. I'm 54. I am probably the happiest woman that turned 50 4 years ago, because that allowed me to compete in the Senior Olympics. And I've been involved with sports and performance, and with that, performance anxiety that actually puts also all its tentacles on every other part of our life, including our health. So that's how it started about 15 years ago, that it felt like one day to another, I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to, me who is the ultimate teacher. I am a professor at the university. I love teaching. I will die teaching. And I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to get up. And suddenly I realized that something is really seriously wrong with me. And I got to different doctors because I started to gain weight. I had really significant mood changes. So we went and figured out, okay, this is a thyroid problem. Okay, it runs in the family. I'm thinking, absolutely. But my father, who was a physician who passed away in 2017, he taught me that all these illnesses we are faced with daily, let it be skin problem, something with our organs, something with any other immune system issues, they all originate from the gut. So I started to think, and I told the doctor, thank you so much. I will, because they told me 2 months of medication, and afterwards, if it doesn't work, then surgery. And I sat down and I said to the doctor, listen, just give me a couple months. Let me see what I can do. And that's when my journey began, because I started studying and I realized that not food allergies that you can test, that doctors test, but food sensitivities can actually masquerade as such illnesses that I was diagnosed with. So I went the crazy way, because being an athlete, I can do crazy. And from one day to another, I gave up everything that could possibly be an issue, from milk to alcohol. Yes, my beer had to go. The sugars, anything that has pasta or anything that has gluten. So I gave up everything one day to another, and I started a journey of elimination. And in that elimination process, which I also, I'm writing my second book, and I'm writing the whole concept down, how it's done properly. In that process, I realized what is causing the problem. And within days, I was better than ever.
Well, that's amazing. And we have a very common journey ourselves, or not common, but similar, in the sense that when my son developed late severe autism at the age of 3, from after being healthy and happy and communicating and all that good stuff, we went right to a food allergy test, food sensitivity test, and started eliminating the gluten, the dairy, the processed foods, the refined sugars. I mean, all the crap that's in the American diet for sure. And then went with, doing, juicing, organic vegetables and fruits, and, adding probiotics and supplements. And that's what led us to finding the miracle plant by juicing hemp, juicing cannabis, and adding that into his diet was the piece that unlocked the inflammation, the detoxification of the heavy metals and pesticides that had collected in his body. And so, again, it's just so wild as we hear these stories out there. Something as simple as just you are what you eat, and understanding how your body works and what you feed it. Food is our medicine and can help you overcome what you've come. So that's remarkable. That's wild and crazy. So am I picking up on some like gut health here, or how's this winning blueprint going?
So the winning blueprint, what happens is that eventually I realized that there are 3 major areas that I have to connect in order to help. Mostly I help young student athletes with their performance anxiety and to bring their best when it counts the most. But I help corporate clients. I have all kinds of clients. And everyone, the big 3 is to figure out what is causing the problem in our gut. And first eliminate, figure it out, then eliminate. And in the process also supplement, and we have an incredible supplement system from Europe. That's one of the reasons I go back and forth all the time. And then the other one is what you are connecting by, like the stress, like every single days of your anxiety, or what is that stress level. So what is causing the stress? Figuring that one out and releasing that. But most importantly is when we don't know who we are and what we are meant to do and be in life, you can juice, you can be as healthy as you want to be, you can have the best job in this world. You are not going to be happy. You're not going to be on your path. And that is going to eventually come to the surface and create so much havoc that there are no stress-relieving techniques, there are no medications, there are no natural supplements that can push that back down or solve the problem. So my system is really built on these 3 pillars. Know who you are, inside and out, what you were meant to do. Then let's support your body with the proper foods and supplementation. And then we use all those specific techniques that I teach to then you can perform in the now and stay in focus. So those are the 3 main pillars.
Love it. So for those that are struggling with knowing what their purpose is, what kind of advice would you give them as far as like how do you discover what is my calling? What do I do? What is the thing that lights me up? Or is there any techniques or exercises that you do to help people? I know a lot of people out there struggle with that. Not you or I, per se, but others.
You know what the interesting is, though, Justin? The interesting thing is that we are all changing as we are progressing through life. So what was my main purpose 30 years ago, my main purpose now. So this is an activity that people have to understand, that it's not that I discover at age 20, yay, eureka, I got it. No, at age 20 there is a purpose, at age 30, and so forth and so on. So we always have to be on the lookout because that purpose shifts. So that's totally fine. And what we don't understand sometimes is when we get into these jobs that we do, okay, I'm going to stay in this job for the next 20 years, I'm going to retire from it, or 30 years. Maybe not. You need to see if you're still happy there, okay? So how do we discover it? Or basically what I usually say, it's silly, but it's so fun. So always for three things that when you were a child, you got lost in. It may have been sports. It may have been music. It may have been just a building blocks, writing, drawing, creating. Something was always part of your personality. The only thing you need to do is, A, remember back for yourself. If you're lucky enough, because back in the time when I started my journey, I was lucky enough that my parents were still alive. My two sisters are with me. They were able to, I asked them, I said, what do you remember? What was really setting me up? What was for me the best thing that I wanted to do? And they were telling me exactly every single thing that I actually ended up putting my job, my life, my career around, which is being on stage. You put me on any stage, that's where I love to be. Something happens to me. I even become funny at times. Imagine that. So being on stage, being in an athletic environment, and educating. Like even when I was just 10 years old, I was teaching other students whatever I knew, maybe better than they did. So from that, you know that you have to then find a career that combines these elements. Now, a lot of times they say, okay, but I need to pay the bills. So I get it. I'm still at the university. I don't really want to be at the university anymore, not because of the teaching, but because of other things. I want to go on my own. I want to be on stages. Fine. But while I'm in the university, taking care of that, which pays the bills, in the meantime, every single day, I spend at least an hour or two on building who I am. The speaker, the person that's going to be making a difference in millions of people's lives through my speaking, through my teaching. I do this every day. And if you do at least 10, 20% of the day, you also focus on what you were meant to do, your entire life is going to be a lot happier.
Love it, love it. And I always say, do something you love, do something you're great at, and if you can do something you love and do something you're great at, the money will follow. You might have to ask for it, but the money will follow. So that's absolutely wonderful. I love that. Well, any other? I know we had talked briefly before we went on live here, and with the Miracle Plant, and how it was miraculous, and they answered our prayers for my son, which was health and nutrition, and right now he's 10 and playing baseball, and we are now starting to find out he may be a bit of a savant on the piano, which actually we're just learning this week. You said you had something that happened with your husband in the Miracle Plan. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love hearing that story. I know we only have a few minutes left, but if you have time, I know our audience would probably love to hear that story as well.
Yeah, sure. So my husband had in 19, we started. So he's already been having some physical problems, but in 19 he started to have what's called TIA strokes, these mini strokes. And so he started to lose his cognition, his ability to communicate. So I've been essentially taking care of him since 2019. And in 20, he also had 2 more of these strokes. And it debilitated him to the point where the doctors essentially said there's nothing we can do. So I took this finally. My husband said, okay, Clara, I'm yours. You can do whatever you want. Now, there was a 2-pronged approach here. One was the supplements that I talked about, which essentially saved his life. But then, and they helped with the sleeping and so on, but they couldn't really help as much as we needed. So I had a really great conversation with the doctor that understood what was going on. And for whatever reason, he gave me a particular medicine called gabapentin, so I can also calm myself down as I'm progressing through menopause while I am taking care of a very sick husband, middle of COVID, middle of teaching, middle of everything. Long story short, I moved away from the gabapentin, didn't need it after a while, but then I was thinking, wait a minute, maybe that's what we need for my husband, something that calms, that soothes his nerves, not something that is a sleeping pill or a chilling pill or whatever. And that's when I talked to the doctor and I said, listen, I heard about this. I heard about marijuana. I heard about medical marijuana for anxiety. I said, I think my husband has more of an anxiety issue because he's a Virgo like me and not a sleeping issue. So this guy was kind enough to be open-minded, prescribed the marijuana, and thankfully my husband has been sleeping like so much better and calmer during the day, which allows his brain to rest, which is very much needed in a healing process after every stroke. And he has a lot of these small strokes now, and he needs to heal from them. So it's been truly a miracle for us.
That's wonderful. Well, I definitely need to get your address when you're here in the States, because that's easier. And we'll send you our Chill X cold-pressed hemp oil, which is it's cannabis, but it's hemp. So the THC is only in the trace amounts, but the CBDA, what the plant makes, is in its whole plant holistic raw form. And that's what's helped actually prevent strokes and people recover from strokes. And that was what helped with my son and his neurological diagnosis when he developed that. And so that's what we've seen work so amazingly. So I'd love for you and your husband to try that. Just need a mailing address. And for those that are listening that want to try it as well, you can always go to freechillcbd.com and we'll mail you one for free as well. You just have to pick up the postage. So, but that's just amazing. I love how this miracle plant works through. We are definitely out there on the same path, healing the world, and you're doing it in such amazing ways, and there's definitely crossover, as you can tell here. And I know we have to wrap up. I wish we could talk again. We'll probably have to do this again.
I'm open for it because we haven't even touched the surface.
Yes.
And
yes.
by then I will try. And by then I will try your product,
yes.
and I will try your product too, and I will let
yes.
you know.
Yes. And also we'll know when there's the downloads and when the audience, gets crazy on us. They're like, bring Dr. Clara back. We'll listen. And we'll bring you back. So, but at the end of every Miracle Plant podcast, we say, heal the world, because that truly is our mission, to pay it forward for what this Miracle Plant has done for our family and thousands upon thousands of other families now. So we say, heal the world on the count of three. So you're at home listening in your car or at the gym or wherever you are, say heal the world with us, and Dr. Clara and I will say it on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Heal the world! All right. Well, you keep healing, and I'll keep healing, and I'm sure our paths will cross really soon. Thanks, everybody, for joining us at the Miracle Plant Podcast. Be a blessing, and happy healing.
Thanks for listening to today's show. To check out more great cannabis podcasts, go to PodConx.com. Here's a preview of one of our other shows.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from the Cannabis Connoisseur Podcast. If you're looking for ways to utilize cannabis to keep you healthy, strong, and sharp, come join us every Wednesday where we dive into the best ways to use cannabis to optimize your life. Topics include cannabis and athletics, cannabis for productivity, cannabis for anxiety, cannabis for a healthy immune system, and so much more. If you're a curious connoisseur, this show is for you. So please head over to our page, and we're looking forward to seeing you this week. Bye.